think that it's important to have a common ground, and that we do have with humanitarian laws and human rights.
Hello and welcome. I'm Suma Katauka and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. Investigators continue searching for victims after a Swiss ski resort bar fire that has killed around 40 people and injured more than 100 people. With doctors treating severe burn cases, officials say identification could take days or weeks as the cause remains unclear and forensic teams work at the scene. Hong Kong's anti-graft agency arrests 21 people over suspected corruption linked to the renovation projects at 2 housing estates. Authorities say the action follows a wider crackdown after a deadly high-rise fire and includes allegations of bribery and bid manipulation. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro says he is open to negotiating with the United States on combating drug trafficking. He strikes a more conciliatory tone towards Washington even as he remains silent on reports of a recent CIA-led strike. The Israeli military says it intercepts a false target in Bahrain after drone sirens sound. While Hezbollah sources deny involvement, the incident comes as pressure grows on Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah under truce deal. Authorities in Yemen's Hadramaut launch a peaceful operation to take back bases following a separatist advance. The governor says the move is not a declaration of war and aims to restore control. US President Donald Trump says the United States will intervene if Iran kills peaceful protesters. Ongoing unrest in Iran is seeing reported deaths and injuries amid economic protests, including casualties in Rorastan. China says President Xi will host South Korean President Lee Jae-myung from Sunday, signaling a push to strengthen its ties. It is their second meeting in 2 months, with Beijing emphasizing economic cooperation and tourism amid regional strains. Ukraine says its forces only strike military targets after Russia claims a drone attack in occupied southern Ukraine killed 27 civilians. A military spokesman says Kyiv adheres to international humanitarian law. Now for this hour, we start with Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine says it only targets military positions after Russia accused Kyiv of killing civilians in a drone attack. While Moscow claims 27 civilians were killed in a strike in Russian-occupied southern Ukraine, according to media reports, a Ukrainian army spokesman rejected the allegation. He said Ukraine's defense forces follow international humanitarian law. He has stressed that all strikes are aimed exclusively at enemy military targets. The claims and counterclaims comes as fighting continues across occupied areas of Ukraine. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Peter Baum. He's the editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for joining us. Good to see you, and Happy New Year to you. Now, thank you. Now, looking at this, how do you think these, the comments from both sides are jeopardizing any efforts for peace? And as we know, this year there are few talks that's supposed to take place between Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, well, both sides are clearly positioning themselves for the next round of potential peace talks, and there can be truth in both statements, and I think there is in these matters. The claims that Russia is only targeting military sites, or has been, is a complete myth, a false narrative. That's for sure. And we've seen that with our own eyes and our own, even though our media coverage in the West is continuously biased and promoting a certain side, we can definitely verify that Russia is lying when she says that it's only targeting military targets. Ukraine, on the other hand, there is some truth in the Ukrainian claims in that she seems to be targeting military sites. But we've seen that there have been successful bomb explosions in civilian areas, albeit targeting military personnel. Now, so with that, as I said to you, there is an element of truth in both claims.
Right.
However, sorry.
Yes, and my second question is, Mr. Baum, how do you think Russian people are, Russian citizens, do they have any appetite, do you think, for or pressuring the government to end the war?
We very rarely see what's truly going on amongst the Russian population, but we do know from the New Year's Eve message that Putin put out that he is losing control of sympathy for this war. The Russian people are fed up with what's going on. There have been numerous desertions, there have been numerous deaths, there have been Russian prisoners being led out simply to fight Putin's battle, and the harsh reality is that the Russian economy is suffering. So although Russia is very good at hiding and covering up excuse me, what's actually going on in Russia, you can rest assured that the Russian civilian population are completely fed up with this war, and that is perhaps one reason why Russia very recently has been more amenable to potential peace talks than she has been in the previous 2 years. So with a harsh winter setting in, and with Ukraine continuing its attacks on the Russian energy infrastructure, unfortunately the Russian people are going to continue to suffer. It's not a popular war. It was when it first started, in the first 3 months of the war, make no doubt about it. Putin was backed almost 100% by the Russian population. But as months go on, it's becoming increasingly unpopular, although domestic unpopularity will not be enough to topple the Russian administration.
With that, I would like to thank Mr. Peter Baum for joining us from London and sharing that insight. Now we move on to Middle East. Saudi airstrikes have hit a military camp belonging to a UAE-backed separatist group in southern Yemen, underscoring growing tensions with the Saudi-led coalition. According to a senior official from the Southern Transitional Council, at least 7 airstrikes targeted a camp in the Al-Khasa area of Hadramaut province. The official said the camp came under both air and ground attack. Though the ground assault was repelled, there is no immediate word on the number of casualties, but deaths and injuries have been reported. The strikes are significant as the Southern Transitional Council is backed by the United Arab Emirates, a key Saudi ally in Yemen's long-running conflict. Yemen has been gripped by years of war involving multiple factions, with shifting alliances complicating efforts to stabilize the country despite repeated ceasefire attempts. Now for this discussion, we welcome back Mr. Peter Baum. He's an editor at Weekly Blitz, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mr. Baum, for staying with us. Now, first of all, going to the basics here. Why are Saudi and UAE forces in Yemen to begin with?
Yeah, this is a conflict in which both Saudi and the United Arab Emirates should be on the same side. And they were originally. They both have a common enemy in the Iranian-backed Houthis, and there is no doubt that at the beginning of this conflict they were seeing eye to eye. More recently, the political dynamics have changed. The United Arab Emirates is backing the Transitional Council in the south and wants to see a fragmented Yemen. Bear in mind the area that the UAE are interested in controls virtually 80% of the Yemeni oil reserves. Saudi, on the other hand, does not want to see a fragmented Yemen. She wants to see a united Yemen, and one in which where the Houthis' power is diluted. It's no coincidence that the Saudis have decided to act when they have done, because they can see Iranian weakness and they don't see the Houthis being the military threat that they were some months ago. So the Saudis have been very opportunistic on this, but I'm pretty sure at some stage the Trump administration will bang the two heads together and ensure that there's a united front against the Iranian-backed opposition. There is absolutely no reason why the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia should be opposing each other in this part of Yemen. Absolutely not. It's absurd, quite frankly. And as I say, one would hope that the Trump administration will get the two sides together and to get them to at least unite, certainly politically, if not militarily.
Right. And now, what do you think? What could, well, we can only speculate here, but what could happen now that it seems like there's a disagreement between how Saudi forces or Saudi Arabia thinks it should move forward, and UAE thinks otherwise?
Yeah. So one thing that is for certain is that the United Arab Emirates have certainly withdrawn manpower from the region and are just supporting financially and politically the dissident group, the Southern Transitional Council, let's say. But as far as their manpower is concerned, they don't have any forces of note actually in Yemen. However, Saudi, with that recent attack, have shown military commitment and will ensure that the Saudi policies, backed by the military, will win the day, and it's probably likely that they will do. However, they will not automatically be able to dilute the Southern Transitional Council, who are quite a powerful force in Yemen and have built up quite a decent block of Yemenis behind them. So it will take a third-party player, one who has the ear to both sides, such as Donald Trump, to bang the heads of the two parties together, because I reiterate, there's absolutely no reason why Saudi and the UAE should be opposing each other in Yemen. Absolutely no reason. It's illogical.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. And lastly, Mr. Baum, so why do you think, how should, like UAE and Saudi Arabia have of course clashed in the past as well, involving Qatar, if I remember correctly, a few years ago. Why are all of them involved in, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Kuwait, in what's their stake or motivation over there?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's one of regional security. That's the main one. Secondly, they see an opportunity with the weakness of Iran to create the conditions whereby the Sunni Muslim bloc is a more powerful element than the non-Arab Shia bloc. And there's a lot at stake at Yemen, control of the waterways and commerce, potential oil revenues, and the defeat of the Iranian regime that threatened both countries for a number of years. So there's a lot at stake. Yemen, being one of the poorest countries in the world, suffering from lack of infrastructure, lack of food, but an Iranian-backed militia that has created for itself a high profile on the world stage that is threatening both Saudi and the UAE. With the weakness of Iran now, the Houthis will suffer similar weaknesses. And as I say, this is an opportunity for Saudi and the UAE to make a mark, but they should be singing from the same song sheet, as we say. They should be combining and uniting in an effort to defeat the Iranian and the Houthi influences.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Baum for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now we have a breaking news. We have now more details coming in from the airstrike. The strikes have killed 7 people as per reports. More than 20 people have also been wounded as 7 airstrikes hit a camp in Al-Khasa. The video of the separatist Southern Transitional Council in Wadi Hadramaut in Yemen and Hadramaut Desert has now confirmed the same. Now, for this discussion, we welcome back Mr. Baum. Mr. Baum, now that we have just taken this breaking news, 7 have been killed in Saudi attack in Hadramaut. Can you tell us about your reaction on this breaking news, and also why is this Hadramaut area so important right now?
Well, it's important because under the control of the UAE, it is probably the wealthiest part of Yemen. As I said before, it is home to the vast majority of the oil reserves in Yemen. The fact that there have been some people killed now will only put more pressure on those that want to see a united front against the Houthis. And as I said before, it will have to be the Donald Trumps of this world to ensure that this conflict between the Saudi Arabian-backed forces of the previous government of Yemen and the United Emirates-backed militias doesn't escalate into something more volatile for the region. That's the last thing I'm sure that both Saudi and the UAE want to draw away from, and something, because they're both allies of the United States, that the Trump administration will try and dilute. We know that Trump has prided himself as being a stopper of wars. Well, this is one conflict that has the potential of escalating further, but with Mr. Trump's intervention, perhaps it won't. I hope very much that Saudi will now row back, having made a statement, and I've gathered from the news bulletins that Saudi have said this is not a declaration of war. Hopefully not. Hopefully the UAE will not respond, and hopefully politically the two sides will come to a meaningful conclusion that will result in them uniting against the Iranian-backed Houthis, because that really is where both sides fear the most danger to their well-being.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Peter Baum for joining us today and sharing that insight throughout our news. Thank you very much. Now we move the focus on to Asia. A Pakistani anti-terrorism court has sentenced 8 journalists and social media commentators to life imprisonment in absentia for terrorism-related offenses tied to online activity supporting former Prime Minister Imran Khan. The convictions relate to cases filed after violent protests on May 9, 2023, when Khan's supporters attacked military installations following his brief arrest. Since then, authorities have used anti-terrorism laws and military trials to prosecute hundreds of Khan supporters and critical voices. The court has stated that the accused's actions fell within the ambit of terrorism under Pakistani law, claiming their online material promoted fear and unrest. Most of those sentenced are believed to be outside Pakistan and did not attend the proceedings. Those convicted include former army officers turned YouTubers, journalists, commentators, and analysts. The Committee to Protect Journalists condemned the sentences, calling the trials retaliation against critical reporting and urged authorities to stop media intimidation. Sentences include fines and additional jail time if unpaid, all subject to review by the Islamabad's High Court. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Fakhar Yousafzai. He's a Pakistani journalist, joins us live from Islamabad. Thank you very much, Mr. Yousafzai, for joining us, and Happy New Year to you. Now, thank you. Now, looking at this, what more can you tell us about this, unfolding situation with Pakistani courts and people related to former Prime Minister Imran Khan?
Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. Actually, if we talk about the current situation, which is a very important topic right now, because the Islamabad District Court announced the life sentence to the almost 9 people. Some are the YouTuber and some are the journalist who's living abroad. And actually, the situation is not good for those journalists who's living abroad, but as well as not good for the people, for the journalist community in Pakistan everywhere. We have a PICA, Pakistan Electronic Crime Act, and the government is using this act as a tool against the journalism, and they want to keep silence the journalist community from all those things which they don't like. For example, if someone is talk about the military regime in Pakistan, actually they are not accept all these things. If someone is talking about the political government, Shehbaz Sharif or the Chief Minister Punjab, I have seen so many cases from Lahore, the local journalist arrested from the police, and they use the third-degree torture against those journalists as well. Right now, the other issue is the blasphemy issue in Pakistan. The NCCIA issued the notices almost 5 journalists from Islamabad, and they want to call them in their Lahore office because they are covering the blasphemy cases, which is also a blasphemy gang is using all these tools against the innocent people in Pakistan. But I think so the government is trying to keep silent the media and the journalist community. If we talk about the Pakistani electronic media, the TV channels, they are I will say that they are used to, I think so, about the censorship by the government or by the I think so Rawalpindi. But some newspapers are still trying to bring these type of stories, which is normally we are not seeing that on the television channels. But the lives or the threats for the Pakistani journalists, I'm not talking about these 8 or 9 people, because the 2 are the former army officer. One is Colonel Mehdi and the other one is Major Adil. They have served in the Pakistani army as an officer, but the rest of the people, the Wajahat Khan, Moeed Pirzada, and rest of the people, they are journalists. But because after the Imran Khan government, they left Pakistan and now they are living in UK, or some people are living in America because they know about the situation in Pakistan if they will be here. We have seen Imran Riaz Khan also the part of this group during the Imran Khan government, but he is also left Pakistan in a very critical condition. We know so many journalists from Pakistan, especially from Islamabad and Lahore. They have left Pakistan because they are facing so many threats. I personally have faced 3 cases from the Pakistan Electronic Crime Act on the federal investigation agencies, and I have fought those cases for 5 years. I think so. This is, I will say that our standard or the in shape of freedom of speech or freedom of expression
Yes.
or freedom of press. I
Mr.
think so.
Yus-
We are declining day by day because the government wants this
Mr.
type of
Yusufzai.
reporting which they like.
Yes, Mr. Yusufzai, I'm deeply touched by what you have shared with us on NewsX World, and I hope that you stay safe over there. And thank you for once again joining us and sharing that insight with us from Islamabad. Now we move on to Asia. A South Korean court has issued a fresh arrest warrant for former President Yoon Suk-yeol. According to the reports, his detention has been extended for another 6 months. Meanwhile, Yoon is facing multiple charges, including aiding an enemy state linked to his brief imposition of martial law in 2024. However, the court has also cited concerns that evidence could be destroyed if he were released. The move comes as prosecutors continue their investigation into the former leader. Yoon has appeared in court multiple times, while the special prosecutors pursue additional indictments. Now we move on to our next news. Air India is once again facing scrutiny after a pilot failed 2 breathalyzer tests in Vancouver, Canada. The pilot reportedly arrived for duty under the influence, delaying the Vancouver to Delhi flight on December 23rd. Canadian police tested the pilot after he was asked to leave the aircraft. Air India says a replacement pilot operated the flight and has suspended the pilot pending an internal inquiry. The airline stressed its zero-tolerance policy for safety violation. Transport Canada has called the incident a serious matter and ordered Air India to submit a full investigation and a preventive action plan by January 26th of this year. The airline faces growing pressure after last year June's deadly Dreamliner crash and repeated safety warnings from India's aviation regulator. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.